Welcome, everyone, to the Meaningful Hearts Podcast, where we discuss the everyday questions that make us or break us if we let them. I am your host, Drew. Take my hand and let's walk this journey together. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode. Today, I want to talk a little bit about something that we all deal with in life, the dynamics of a relationship, good and the bad. What should we do if a person we meet is dominant or a person we meet is passive? What do we do? You meet somebody, they seem too good to be true. Then you get the red flag. Man, they're a little pushy. I'm scared, but I like them. What do I do? Should I stay away? Should I avoid them? Chances are you've entered in that relationship because it's new and blissful, so a few things might be a little bit uncomfortable, but you say, you know what? I want to give this person a chance. Now, there's nothing wrong with giving people chances. Or you go the other route, and somebody is not pushy, you just feel they're too clingy. They're too giving. And they're not really willing to give you space right off the bat. It's like, wow, this is another scenario. I really like this person. They're very affectionate. They're very engaging with me. But they're just too much about me and not much about them. It's scary. But I'm going to give them a chance, right? I'm going to give them a chance right off the bat because I want to see where it goes. Everybody deserves a chance, right? Everybody does. We all deserve a chance. But where does it come up that you should say, you know what? These are red flags. These are things I don't want to deal with because they're not healthy. And I see this right off the bat that this is going to be a problem for me. And I'm not going to deal with that. At what point do you actually have what you will not deal with? What you think is a red flag that you're just going to say, no, that's it. One red flag and I'm gone. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. And I'll tell you why. Remember, now whether you're on the receiving end of this or not, I will tell you that if somebody is being dominant with you or being pushy, remember, you need to teach people how you want to be treated. It's your responsibility. It is very much your responsibility to allow yourself not to be pushed around. You don't want to be pushed around. You can't do that. We can't be pushed around. Because for one, the person that's pushing you around is going to think it's okay. And maybe they don't really realize that they're doing it. Because not just because you're dominant doesn't mean you're trying to control somebody's whole life. You're not, per se. But maybe you're just taking too much control and the other person feels suffocated but doesn't know how to say it, right? I've been that person. I've been in a relationship with somebody that didn't really communicate effectively. That's a whole nother red flag. But they also couldn't tell me that I was being an asshole. They couldn't tell me that maybe I was a little bit too much for them. And they were not used to dealing with that. And on their end, that's their responsibility to let me know. As well as you being the person to understand when to kind of fall back a little bit. But once again, those are red flags on both sides, right? I'm too dominant, or maybe I'm a little bit of an asshole. She can't tell me this, so she deals with it. So we're both in a toxic relationship. We're both in a situation that is not healthy for us. We're not communicating effectively. In turn, we're injuring and hurting each other. It's not good. You're setting yourself up for failure at that point. Then what do? You let years pass by. By the way, there was like 11 years that I put into this. And I engaged in it. And I dealt with it. On both sides. And it didn't end too well. Now, we parted as friends. But we learned a lot. Now, this is coming from a young standpoint to an older standpoint. So I was younger when we first got together. And we learned a lot along the way. We ended up respecting each other in the end, but we made a lot of big mistakes. A lot of big mistakes. The key to a good relationship is the ability to give and take, but not feel slighted. Things get really, really dicey when you feel stripped of your freedom or your ability to be yourself. This is not a jail sentence. It's a mutual love for one another that requires respect and understanding. It really does. It requires this. If you do not have these things, or if you feel slighted, you're giving too much of yourself, and that person's not for you. but that person deserves at least a chance to hear you out and defend their position, or say, hey, listen, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel that way, because you're not giving that person a chance. You can't be passive aggressive yourself. You can't be suffering in silence and then come at them with all you got. No, you got to let them know right off the bat. You got to let them know right away that I don't like this, or it's making me feel a certain way. It's not making me feel comfortable. You should both be comfortable in your relationship. You know, this is not something, however, that is easy to achieve either. And many people find themselves either being the dominant one or the submissive one. They feel trapped or assume that friends and family have similar situations. And they're like, oh, this is the way healthy relationships are. We have a lot of poor examples of what relationships should look like. I have not met one person. I don't think I've met one person that had parents with a healthy relationship. A lot of divorces, a lot of mistakes were made. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect at all. So you really got to look at it. We don't have a lot of good examples around us, but the beauty of social media, the beauty of knowledge, the beauty of studying up, and the beauty of understanding that there are great people out there that have maybe had great parents, that you've met them and they've turned out to be great people and have maybe said, hey, listen, the way you're behaving, the way you're acting, it's not cool. It's not good. It's not healthy. This also goes for friendships. I'll sidebar and I'll add friendships into there. Healthy friendships. When you date somebody, at first you kind of are building a friendship, a relationship that goes deeper into an intimate relationship. But if you're not being good to that person, or they're not being good to you, or they're being too much, they're overwhelming, or you're being dominant, or you're being pushy, well, that person's probably going to just, because they're not, they don't know better, they might stay in the relationship and be like, and waving the flag like help to somebody else. Or even in friendships. The difference about friendships is it's not an intimate relationship. So if somebody doesn't want to talk to you anymore, they'll just not talk to you anymore, right? But when you're in a physical relationship, or you're intimate with somebody, person's gonna be like, wow, you haven't called me, we haven't been together, we haven't spent quality time together, and they might want to, they might wonder why, or it's definitely going to raise some suspicion on why they haven't heard from you. So don't get me wrong, the dynamics might be favorable to certain scenarios, right? In certain scenarios, it might just be favorable. Maybe you desire that, but it is a false sense of safety. It's not healthy. It really isn't. If you feel that it's safe to be having somebody that you can dominate and they can be clingy to you, there's a problem there. There's a real problem there. There really is. It comes from childhood. It really does. Having someone who's, very, too clingy is very unhealthy. It makes a person who is on the receiving end of it feel suffocated. And eventually what's going to happen is you might feel safe. You might feel that safety of having a partner that's there for you no matter what, but is, like I said, clingy and suffocating. What you'll do is, hey, I'll keep this person along because at least they make me feel safe. And that is selfish, by the way. That's an asshole thing to do, but we do it. And you'll end up entertaining people, or, out there, you might have a side relationship with somebody else that gives you the things that your relationship is not giving you, like space, confidence. Confidence is very sexy. Confidence is super sexy. And a lot of partners drift away because they feel that they're getting what they need from somebody else. That's not good. Not healthy in a relationship, but it happens a lot. It does. Once again, these things stem from childhood. A lot of people grew up in toxic households where passive-aggressive behavior was normal. I lived in it. And when they meet someone later in life that has those traits, they don't see those red flags, or they ignore them because it feels normal. It feels like home. You might end up with a toxic person in your relationship just because you've dealt with it at home. So it just feels so normal. It feels very normal to you, but it's not. I grew up thinking all this was normal. I used to see my parents fight, being aggressive towards one another, and then pretending moments later that it was okay. And they had these fights in front of us. It wasn't like they had them off to the side. It was all over the house. And as a child, you don't actually notice how bad this is. But as you grow, those values are installed into your bodies. They're like installed into your brain. Like, this is okay. This is fine. These values are there. They're inside of you. They're instilled in your being. And you react the same way. Because when it comes to you having relationships with people, you react the same way. You deal with things the same way because this is what you were taught. You know, it took me a lot of time to realize that my behavior was super unacceptable, and I hurt a lot of feelings. I destroyed some relationships as well, and I didn't understand it. I was like, what am I? You know, it's the person. It's not me. I didn't take responsibility. And then I started to realize that how others grew up, or some other people that I've met, started becoming my mirrors, or people around me that said, yo, this is bad behavior. This is not how you should act. You need to take some responsibility for this. But I'm like, wait, this person did that. Yeah, but what did you do? But what did you do to facilitate that behavior? Not everything is 100% anybody's fault. You got to look at it both sides. Because if you sit on your side of it and you're not willing to look on the other side of the fence and say, you know what, this is how they might have received it, or maybe they're just broken like me. But it takes a lot of reflecting to realize this. It really does. There's a lot of broken people in this world. A lot. I realize this more as I get older. I realize it more as I meet different people. And we have these conversations. You know, I never had these conversations before. But as time went on, I started to see people in situations that might have been better than mine, or I've been in scenarios, and I reflect these scenarios on other people. And you get a perspective you never thought you would have. But you also have to be willing to be diverse in your thought process. You have to be willing to accept the fact that you're wrong. And nobody likes to be wrong. Our egos don't like that. Egos are like, nah, fuck that. Nope, not doing that. Can't. Sorry. I'm intact. I'm not dealing with that. But you have to get over that. For you to grow as a person, you have to get over that. Because there are times where we think we're right to an extent, and then we get some new information that clarifies that we're wrong. And that sucks. But that's life, and that's being better. That's allowing you to be a better person. It really is. Now, there's another side of that coin, right? Where you might have had a sound household. You know, you might have been coddled by your parents, and they gave you everything. And they never wanted you to cry. They never wanted you to feel pain. And parents might have been through traumas in their own lives, and they don't want to pass it on to their children. So they're just, oh, did the wind blow on you the wrong way? Come here. And they're so attentive that they pass off that ability to be that way, and they show you that. And that might actually make you feel like, okay, that's normal. And you might not be the one that's submissive, but you might seek somebody who is submissive because that was love to you when you were growing up. And then there are other people that were abused as children, or had passive aggressive behaviors happen to them. And they dubbed that over as being loved. You know, there's a lot of relationships. I know a lot of broken people. I've seen women get in relationships with men that don't respect them. You know, and they grew up with a father that was really never around, or was very abusive to their mother. And they longed for that relationship with their father that they never got. And in turn, they started seeking men out. The first men they met to kind of take, not say the father role, but kind of take care of them in that type of role and reach out for said man. Even though he was a piece of shit, she dealt with it. And it's scary. It's really scary. And men do that with women. You know, their mother was toxic to them, treated them a certain way. And they thought this is the way, you know, it is to be loved. Because it feels normal, because this is what you grew up with. So whenever you got love, you took it. But you had to take the good with the bad. But there was a lot of bad. But if that's all you know, you're not going to see those red flags. You're going to be like, you know, like, this is how love is. Especially when you, and like I said, once you have two parents that are like that, that is your example. And even if you're a kid and you don't think you were watching it or paying attention because you were playing with your toys and doing other things, you were absorbing this. Your behaviors are a reflection of your surroundings and what you're around the most. I had anger problems and issues, so many things. And I'm telling you, going on the outside and seeing how other people were raised and then realizing how they act or how the values that they were taught or how to deal with things and frustrations and how to keep your cool, things that I deal with on a daily basis that I'm still getting better at. This is a reflection of the home. It's a sentence your parents give you. It really is. Whatever, however you are and whatever you have to change, a lot of it comes from just growing up. Not everybody's household was bad, but these traits and these things that we learn, it comes from home. Being coddled is not necessarily the best thing in the world. It's not. You have to learn of the world. You have to learn that there are other people that are going to try to take advantage of you or try to hurt you. But if you've never known that to be true, then you're going to go out in the world and just assume that everything's fine. I'm not saying being skeptical of everyone and being, weary, but too much of anything is not good. There's got to be a balance. There's got to be a really good balance. You should be able to speak up when you feel something. You should be able to also receive criticism in your relationship. Both. Receive and give. And be willing to give a little bit and be willing to ask for something in return. It's okay. It's a balance. It's a relationship. Gives on both sides and takes on both sides, but it has to be harmonious. It can't feel like, it just cannot feel like you're just giving your soul to somebody and you feel drained. That is not a relationship. That's a fucking prison sentence. And that is not good. That is not good at all. So I want you to look at your relationships in your life, your past relationships, and learn. Go through them. Go take a trip down memory lane and try to really look at your relationship. I don't want you guys to get emotional and get sad about your relationships. I just want you to see maybe what happened here or what happened there. It could have been avoided. And maybe it was some of your doing. And now if you're single, you're dating, or you're maybe looking to get into a serious relationship, I want you to be willing to ask for what you want and be willing to stand up for the things you don't want. I don't care how amazing that person is or how they whatever they are, whatever they do for you. I don't care. If they can't make you feel the way you want to feel and feel safe and comfortable, but also feel like you are an individual in that relationship and you both bring something to the table, if that does not happen, if that's not happening, you're not in a fucking relationship. You're not in a relationship at all. You're not. I love you guys, and I'm going to leave it there. Think about this and hit me up on the Meaningful Hearts podcast, IG, and at gmail.com. Thank you guys. Good night.